When it comes to diplomacy, how do you deal with a country that constantly threatens your death? That's what British negotiators are facing with the Islamic Republic of Iran, as it reels from the 12-day war and is seeing its nuclear capabilities either reduced or destroyed. We sit down with Emily Thornberry, a British lawmaker and the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, to discuss the ways forward. Emily Thornberry, chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
You've just published a report about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Within the report, there's a recommendation for continued diplomatic efforts with Iran. At the same time, within the report, acknowledges that there's difficulties in prescribing the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, as a terrorist entity. How do you see Britain navigating this?
So, we have in the past been successful. I mean, it's such a shame that we did have an agreement with Iran and other Western powers and America to ensure that there was some control over the development of nuclear weapons in Iran and nuclear material. And the Americans walked away from it under Donald Trump. The Europeans tried to keep it going, but we weren't able to. And now we've had, the military action, and Donald Trump, I think, finally realizes again what we've all known for a long time, which is the only way to sort this problem out is by talking and by coming to an agreement. And so we feel like we've been here before, we know what it is that needs to be done, and we hope that we can be a force for good and we can be of assistance by helping to be involved in the negotiations. And I hope that the Iranians feel in a better position to trust us, and hopefully we can get an agreement which the Americans will sign up to, and Donald Trump will finally realize this issue can't be dealt with by bombing Iran.
That's all very well to have these aspirations, but it's a complicated situation, not least with Israel in there as well.
Yeah.
How do you carve a path when there's been military engagement, distrust? There's been, you have Russia and China there as well. If you want to have Britain as a leading diplomatic icebreaker in this, how do you push forwards?
Well, I mean, I think it's because everybody wants the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. So you need to work out what the common goals are. And then, yes, you need to build trust. And I fully understand why it might be difficult in current circumstances. Iran was in the middle of negotiations with America when there was bombing, by first of all, by America's ally, and then America joined in. So I get that. Doesn't change the fact, though, that it is in Iran's interest and in the interest of the Iranian people, it's in the interest of the region for there to be proper peace and for there to be a proper understanding as to what is acceptable when it comes to nuclear material that the Iranians own. I mean, I was saying I had the Iranian ambassador in front of us, and I said to him, but if you want to use nuclear material for civilian purposes, then you only need it of a purity of 3.6%, but you've got nuclear material of 60%. And given that you have nuclear material of 60%, and you use the kind of language that you do when it comes to Israel, and you've been supporting Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, you can understand why the Israelis are feeling paranoid about you, whether or not you think it's right for them to behave in the way they did. Nevertheless, this is not the way to work easily with your neighbours when you take such a stance. And that's the problem. Anyway, these are the things we need to discuss. And this is what we need to kind of work through. Because, I certainly hope, and I know that the Iranian people want to live at peace with their neighbours. We just got to find a way through this.
Everyone in the region aspires for peace. It's a very noble aspiration. However, if we look to the home front a little bit, at the moment, the IRGC poses a threat to British citizens in the UK. The Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament published a report again as well this month that laid out ferocious activities by Iran's intelligence services. Iran has a well-resourced machine to target British dual nationals or British citizens here. Within British territories, how do you take on the Iranian threats? Has Iran become even more dangerous after the war?
I think any country, if they feel isolated, is likely to be more dangerous. That's the reason, well, of the many reasons, why we want to be able to talk to Iran and bring them in, and why we want to be able to show them that life is better if you're not isolated. And I think that people in Iran know that and believe that. We just need to give them the opportunity to come closer, because we will all benefit from that in the end. But yes, I mean, I don't mean to gloss over the activities that have happened in the UK, and it's Iran, and there are a number of other countries as well, obviously Russia being a famous example. And we cannot accept it. And we have to make sure that we protect people. I've had people come to talk to me who personally feel threatened by the Iranian regime, and have talked to me about, how much assistance they're given in the UK and how they feel that they're not given enough and how it isn't consistent enough. And we have to keep working on that. Because the great thing about London is that we do have people from all over the world, and we need to be able to live peacefully with one another, and we need to be a centre of free thought and an open discussion.
So at the moment, Iran this week is meeting its Russian and Chinese counterparts in New York to discuss a position on the snapback of sanctions that could be triggered by European powers, including Britain. Where do you see this alliance between Iran and Russia and China heading towards? Do you see that as a position to be worried about from the British perspective?
I think the potential realignment that's going on internationally is something that we should most definitely not be complacent about. And we can see it in many ways, actually, in the way in which, because of the change in the leadership in America, because of all kinds of things, not just sanctions, but also the way in which there's increasing numbers of tariffs being put on countries and so on, they're now looking to China, or they're looking to Russia. We need to, as I say, not be so complacent that countries have no choice but to be friends with us.
In the ideal scenario, how would you be able to break that through diplomacy? Is it just by giving Iran what it wants, or is it a little bit of stick as well?
So I think what it is you have to, as I say, we've already been there with the JCPOA. It was an agreement. It made sense. It was robust. It worked. The difficulty was that the Americans pulled out because there was a change of leadership, and Donald Trump, egged on by Netanyahu, decided to turn his back on it. And he thought there were other ways that he could get what he wanted. Clearly he hasn't. And there's been bombing in between, and bombing with Israel and America. We need to get back into an agreement. And I suspect we need to get back into something that's going to look very much like the JCPOA that we had many years ago. And a great deal of wasted time in between. It's very unfortunate, but we are where we are.
With regards to China and Russia, the UK has been facing increased threats from those two states. Now, the intelligence securities report said that there's a rising number of threats emanating from Iran. In your opinion, do you think UK can withstand these three nations' threats that are coming at the same time?
Well, I think we've been talking about increasing investment in our security, because we are identifying a much greater number of threats on a number of different fronts, and we need to look after ourselves and just not look around London and just think, oh, well, it seems all right, because it isn't, because there are some very subtle but profound threats for our democracy and our system. And yeah, we're going to be spending more money, and we're going to be investing more, and hopefully we'll make ourselves safer as a result.
With all these talks going on about the snapback sanctions, do you think Iran is or can be a reliable diplomatic partner?
We have to be able to trust each other. It's easier to trust some countries than others. I get that. And you need to have certain guarantees. But nothing's impossible if there's goodwill.
Emily Thornberry, thanks very much.
Not at all. It's a pleasure.